Welcome to Poets and Poetry with SueAn Stradling Collins, Director of the Apache County Library District. Today we're going to talk about the poet Pablo Neruda, and I am going to read Wikipedia's sketch on his life, partly because they do a really good job, and I thought I would use their words instead of my own this time. I will tell you beforehand that I don't speak Spanish, and so I'm probably going to kill a lot of this. Please bear with me. Ricardo Eliezer Neftali Reyes Basualto, better known by his pen name and later legal name Pablo Neruda, was a Chilean poet, diplomat, and politician who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1971. Neruda became known as a poet when he was 13 years old and wrote in a variety of styles, including surrealist poems, historical epics, overtly political manifestos, a prose autobiography, and passionate love poems such as the ones in his collection 20 Love Poems and a Song of Despair, published in 1924. Back up a little bit, he was born July 12th of 1904, and he died in 1973, September. Neruda occupied many diplomatic positions in various countries during his lifetime and served a term as a senator for the Chilean Communist Party. When President Gabriel González Videla, I think that's right, outlawed communism in Chile in 1948, a warrant was issued for Neruda's arrest. Friends hid him for months in the basement of a house in the port city of Valparaiso. Neruda escaped through a mountain pass near Mahu Lake into Argentina. Years later, Neruda was a close advisor to Chile's socialist president, Salvador Allende. When Neruda returned to Chile after his Nobel Prize acceptance speech, Allende invited him to read at the Estadio Nacional before 70,000 people. Neruda was hospitalized with cancer in September 1973 at the time of the coup d'etat led by Augusto Pinochet that overthrew Allende's government, but returned home after a few days when he suspected a doctor of injecting him with an unknown substance for the purpose of murdering him on Pinochet's orders. Neruda died in his house in Isla Negra on 23 September 1973, just hours after leaving the hospital. Although it was long reported that he died of heart failure, the Interior Ministry of the Chilean government issued a statement in 2015 acknowledging a ministry document indicating the government's official position that it was clearly possible and highly likely that Neruda was killed as a result of the intervention of third parties. However, an international forensics test conducted in 2013 rejected allegations that he was poisoned. It was concluded that he was suffering from prostate cancer. Pinochet, backed by elements of the armed forces, denied permission for Neruda's funeral to be made a public event, but thousands of grieving Chileans disobeyed the curfew and crowded the streets. Neruda is often considered the national poet of Chile, and his works have been popular and influential worldwide. The Colombian novelist Gabriel Garcia Marquez once called him the greatest poet of the 20th century in any language. He wrote 50 volumes of poetry, as well as other works, and so he is indeed a poetic voice to know at least something about. One of the types of poems that he wrote most often, maybe not most often, was called an ode. And an ode was originally accompanied by music and dance, and later reserved by the Romantic poets to convey their strongest sentiments. It is a formal address to an event, a person, or a thing that's not present. And those are the kind of odes that we're going to read of his. The 3 poems I've chosen of his are all odes to things that are not present or people that are not present. And so, to learn more about Pablo Neruda, I encourage you to go to YouTube. The link will be included, and listen to a very dear friend of mine, Daryl Lockhart, who's a professor of Latin American literature at the University of Reno, Nevada. Actually, he's a dean at present at the university. But he did a wonderful reading when Pablo Neruda's material became public domain. And so we're going to give you that link, and he's the one who helped me learn various things about Neruda. One of the things he did say that's interesting is that in both of Neruda's homes, um, they just found thousands of collections of various things, seashells and just things that he loved to collect. And so he was surrounded by the things that he loved. And so it makes some sense that he would write odes to those things that meant something to him. We're going to start with an ode to an onion. Okay, let me find that one. Onion, luminous flask, your beauty formed petal by petal. Crystal scales expanded you, and in the secrecy of the dark earth, your belly grew round with dew. Under the earth, the miracle happened, and when your clumsy green stem appeared, and your leaves were borne like swords in the garden, the earth heaped up her power, showing your naked transparency, and as the remote sea, in lifting the breast of Aphrodite, duplicating the magnolia, so did the earth, making you, onion, clear as a planet, and destined to shine, constant constellation, round rows of water upon the table of the poor. You make us cry without hurting us. I have praised everything that exists, but to me, onion, you are more beautiful than a bird of dazzling feathers. Heavenly globe, platinum goblet, unmoving dance of the snowy anemone, and the fragrance of the earth lives in your crystalline nature. Okay, and I love that he says in there that he's praised everything. He wrote odes about many things. Okay, the next poem that I've chosen is called Ode to Walt Whitman. Of course I chose this poem because I love Walt Whitman. And what I like about this poem is that he, to me, captures a great deal of what I love about Whitman. And so, Ode to Walt Whitman. I can't recall my age, or if I was in the vast streaming south, or on some forbidding coastline where seagulls wheeled and cried. But I touched a hand that day, and it was Walt Whitman's hand. And barefoot I walked the earth, I wade through tenacious dew in the grasslands of Whitman. Throughout my entire childhood, my companion was that hand with dew on it, the timber of its patriarchal pine, the expanse of its prairie, its mission of articulate peace. And Walt did not disdain all the gifts of the earth, the capital's surfeit of curves, the purple initial of learning, but taught me to be Americano, and raised my eyes to books, toward the treasure that we find inside a kernel of wheat. Engirt by the clarity of the plains, he made me see how the high mountains tutor us. From the subterranean echo, he fetched it all in for me, whatever he could harvest, gallivanting through the alfalfa on the days he passed in the kitchen or at the bend of the river. But not just earth by itself was brought into the light by the work of his shovel. His disinterred humanity and the slaves who were abased along with him, balancing the black dignity of their stature, went on to conquer happiness. To the stoker down below in the boiler room, Walt sent a basket of strawberries, and each corner of his city was visited by his verse like a strip of clean flesh, the beard of a true fisherman, the solemn supple gait of his Acacian legs. Passing among the soldiers, his bardic silhouette, night nurse, camerado, he knew painful, rasping breath, and he waited with the dawn for life's silent return. Breadmaker supreme, prime old brother of my roots, cupola of the conifers, for the last 100 years, the winds have passed over your germinating grassland without consuming your vision. But now your country is cruel, full of persecution, tears, prisons, and lethal weapons. Uncivil wars that nonetheless haven't crushed the grass of your book, living source of originality. And I, those who murdered Lincoln, who now lie in that bed, have dismantled the fragrant lilac of his memorial and put a throne in a place splattered with blood and misfortune. Your voice, that's still singing in the suburban stations, on the unloaded docks at night, your word that's still splashing like dark water, and your people, black, white, poor and simple, like all people, still not forgetting the tolling of your bell. They congregate and sing beneath the magnitude of your spacious life. They walk among the people with your love. They caress the pure development of fraternity on earth. So it captures his ideals as well as Whitman's ideals. And so I very much enjoy that poem. The last one I'll read to you is a little bit lighter, It's called Ode to Bees. Multitude of bees, in and out of the crimson, the blue, the yellow, of the softness in the world. You tumble headlong into a corolla to conduct your business and emerge wearing a golden suit and quantities of yellow boots. The waist perfect, the abdomen striped with dark bars, the tiny, ever-busy head, the wings, newly made of water. You enter every sweet-scented window, open silken doors, penetrate the bridal chamber of the most fragrant love. Discover a drop of diamond dew, and from every house you visit, you remove honey. Mysterious, rich and heavy, honey, thick aroma, liquid, guttering light, until you return to your communal palace, and on its Gothic parapets deposit the product of flower and flight, the seraphic and secret nuptial sun, multitude of bees, sacred elevation of unity, seething schoolhouse. Buzzing, noisy workers process the nectar, swiftly exchanging drops of ambrosia. It is summer. Siesta in the green solitudes of Osorno. High above, the sun casts its spears. Into the snow, volcanoes glisten. Land stretches endless as the sea. Space is blue, but something trembles. It is the fiery heart of summer, the honeyed heart multiplied. The buzzing bee, the crackling honeycomb of flight and gold. Bees, purest labors, ogival, workers, fine, flashing, proletariat, perfect, daring militia that in combat attacked with suicidal sting. Buzz, buzz above the earth's endowments, family of gold. Multitude of the wind, shake the fire from the flowers, thirst from the stamens, the sharp, aromatic thread that stitches together the days, and propagate honey, passing over humid continents, the most distant islands of the western sky. Yes, let the wax erect green statues. Let honey spill in infinite tongues. Let the ocean be a beehive. The earth tower and tunic of flowers, and the world a waterfall, a comet's tail, a never-ending wealth of honeycombs. If you go to the YouTube video, you'll hear his poetry read in Spanish by Dr. Lockhart. These are, of course, translations. His works have been translated into English by there's 5 different sets of translation of his works, and these were by different people who were translating it. So they might sound a little bit different depending on which translation you get. But if you'd like to hear the beauty of his language, please go to that YouTube video and hear that there. Thank you for joining me. I don't know who will spotlight next week, and it's good to be back and sharing poetry with you.